Welcome to another Sith List WandaVision Explained. We're going to try to break down that crazy episode 6. I'm your host, Iraj and my co-host, King Tom Chesky, Les Gonzalez. How you guys doing?
Doing all right. I'm doing good.
Les, I know you're struggling because I'm struggling right now. We stayed up till the wee hours of the morning, recording and editing and putting in a reaction video out, and there was a lot to react to. Nothing crazy for the reactions, but it was still a very, very solid episode. I loved it. It seems like most of the people that are commenting on our reaction video really, really liked it. I'm going to go with King Tom first. King Tom, what'd you think about that crazy episode?
Like you said, there wasn't a big reveal. It moved the story along, and sad to say, I don't think this is opening up the MCU to the X-Men, or at least Fox's X-Men. Right. But they did plant a few seeds. You know, we have now all of S.W.O.R.D. basically converted into the circus in Westview. We got a hint of Monica Rambeau. Her DNA is changed, leading to the possibility of her being Spectrum. We did not see the superior power set of Quicksilver's that we saw in the X-Men movies. He was just generic speedster. Right. But so I think they might be doing something a little bit different here. And we also got the tease of the astrophysicist or whatever they're supposed to meet in an hour. Right. So a lot of this was setting stuff up for what's next, but it still did it very well. Yeah, it did. And just like it's been doing everything very well over the last 6 episodes. Les, what was your take?
Yeah, I agree with King Tom. I will say, obviously, we knew the mutants weren't coming right away, or Fox's mutants. I still think that they left the door open with this and utilizing Peter/Pietro, which, as he ran up to the screen, says Pietro Maximoff, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's so many more elements and forces at play here, or in play here, that when they finally reveal everything, and if it is Mephisto or whoever people are, it's just going to be a little bit more satisfying, or a lot more satisfying. But then again, It could be something totally out there. It could be Dormammu. Who knows what's going on? Just we're inching along. I think this is more of a comic book fan kind of, acknowledgement kind of thing. So
right, and also an episode that people that aren't into comics like crazy also enjoyed very much because of the action and the humor. Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about the great intro? Looked like we have the Malcolm in the Middle feel to it, which is really cool. Set in the 2000s. I think we made a mistake last night. We said it was set in the late 90s, but late 90s, early 2000s, whatever, people. But very, very cool. Very well done. Love the kids talking into the camera. It's just perfect. Les, and I know you were very hyped up because they were using the same uniforms, right?
So Wiccan, right when he walked out, he was in his uniform, his basically modern uniform. So that was really cool. And they just hit you with that Easter egg right away. Then as we progress through the episode, then all of a sudden Speed has his stuff and he's running around, and you're like, oh, okay. So that was pretty cool.
And then we get the great uniforms for both Wanda and for Vision. Very cool. A lot of cool humor. Yeah, it was really cool. King Kong, what'd you think about this intro, these episodes, the homages to the old costumes?
I thought it was great. You get to see what comic accurate or close to comic accurate uniforms look like, and how they play it off. Where Wanda was a Sokovian fortune teller and Pietro was a luchador.
Yeah.
Vision was a luchador. That was great. But I'm thinking, I loved Pietro's costume, how that was his old comic book costume. They even mentioned the hair.
Yes.
Right. Look at that thing. Look at that hair. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Which is kind of funny because it's like Wolverine has that kind of same hairdo.
Right.
Like all these guys have that like hairdo. It's like how do you do that in real life? Like how do you actually replicate that? So,
right. Exactly. Very, very cool.
That's pretty fun.
Loved it. I loved Evan Peters, by the way. He killed it, I thought, in this episode. Very cool. And again, what a great misdirection from Marvel. You knew that they were going to just throw something at you like that and expect it to be what you think it is. That's for sure.
He was definitely MCU Pietro and not just with the memories and everything. It wasn't the X-Men universe.
Yeah,
the superior Quicksilver.
Right, exactly. Now, what do you guys think about him not fully understanding what's going on? Is it an act? And also, Wanda not really knowing him. She didn't plant him, obviously, and if she did, it wasn't the right Pietro.
What I think is going on is someone's just amplifying her powers even more.
Mm-hmm. Right, like Mephisto.
So, like, she shows up. She said she's lonely. She felt nothing but emptiness and darkness and alone, and she's probably just started like emitting, this emotion, and someone who's out there came along and is like, you know what, I can mess with this, and they're amplifying her powers, and as you can see, she's a lot stronger. She has no idea what's going on. She has no idea what she's done, and it's obvious that someone is like, hey, amplifying again. I'm going to say the word again, just amplifying her powers and just giving her that boost to help her maintain whatever it was. She must have done something where she probably hurt someone at the beginning, and everybody was like, or whoever was there was like, you know what, let's just roll with it, and I'll help her go along. I don't think it's Agnes either.
No, I don't think it's Agnes either. I thought it might have been Agnes before this episode, but don't think it's Agnes either. King Tom, what do you think is at play here? Your best hunch.
I think there's something involving Sword and the Vision's body because of how, and I forget his name, but how he was tracking it, and
Hayward. I think his name is Hayward.
You're right, Hayward. How Hayward was able to track it, and it almost. I had the idea, but I don't know how this would track. That he is the one, or someone he is working for is the one that set this all up to get Wanda to reanimate Vision, so they would have him as a weapon. Because
as a military weapon.
In the comics, I'm pretty sure Sword is the Sentient Worlds Observation and Research Division.
Yeah.
But in the MCU, it's Sentient Weapons. And so that's what Vision is. And even though, as we learned a few episodes ago, it was in his will that he not be reanimated, that's what's happened here. And I'd like to think the good guys are the good guys and the bad guys are the bad guys, but there's no bad guy here.
Right.
That we know of until this episode, when Hayward was clearly
trying
to lob a missile in there,
Yeah. And the MCU and the MCU's done that before with us. That's for
right.
Sure. Multiple
times. It definitely looks like he is involved or behind it.
Right.
Yeah, and he's got a Captain Ahab kind of obsession.
He sure does.
Thing going on now.
That was a really nice touch, the way that he was, you don't know what it was like. He was telling Monica for the 5 years you were gone. It was a very realistic, a lot in this series has been made of Wanda's mental state, but I think that's just as important, his mental state, and I'm sure the mental state of other people who have been there trying to keep the world together, as he put it, for 5 years. So
when we got Spider-Man Homecoming, and you saw that, there were construction crews and people that were there to did this real world effect, like people were trying to clean up the damage. And you just have to ask these questions, what's going on with regular old random Joes out there? What's happening? And so we still haven't gotten that part.
How about the beginning of Infinity War?
Or I think it was Endgame, if I'm not mistaken.
Beginning
where, they have the group sessions.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And they're doing that, but we never got the part where people may have lost it. And the real, tragic effect that gets them into this mind state. So this guy is in charge of a multi-million-dollar or billion-dollar military entity, and he's working with all these things, these high-level, weapons, and now he's like, you guys don't understand. This is something that I've never seen before in my life, and here we are. I won't let it happen again. And it's and they take extreme measures to do to stop these things.
And question, I remember last time in the very beginning of the last episode, I believe it was, where we saw, or the episode before, I don't remember so many now, where Monica Rambeau comes back, right? The reverse snap, the blip. Imagine if you were on a plane. And what happened to all of them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine people falling from the sky during that.
Or you were in a hot air balloon, or
so yeah, whatever.
Yeah, or you were sitting in a roller coaster, or something like that. Yeah,
that's absolutely insane.
It's nuts. Yeah,
either went through or saw, or things that happened in front of them. So you're right, King Tom. Great point. He looks like a man that has completely, no pun intended, snapped. There's some really cool little things that I wanted to talk about. This scene right here, where we have in the background, we have the Incredibles and Parent Trap. I heard that was planted on purpose because of the twins in the Incredibles, and obviously Parent Trap's background. And we didn't catch this last night.
The kids,
they're
not twins in the Incredibles. Yeah. They're in the.
Oh, they're not twins. Kids. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they're kids. Siblings, that's right. Yeah. With superpowers.
Yes, right.
Which is very, very cool.
And I think Parent Trap is about twins, right?
Yes. Oh, maybe. I'm mixing those two up. But those two movies mean something. That's why they put them on there, right? Correct. Yeah. Which is cool. There was other things, Agnes's license plate that I saw. It is the element for a hexagon, or it's the color element or something. The numbers.
It's a color hex. It's a color hex code.
Color hex code. Yeah.
You use that to, like, if you're building a web page or something else.
What a great scene! There it is. There's what I'm talking about. That was a little bit jarring and a little bit freaky. As well as seeing Evan Peters, Pietro's zombie too. That was
crazy too. And the zombie part. So remember the first part where she turns around after the kid's vision goes out the door. She turns around and he's like, and she freaks out.
Same thing with
that
him.
Was like a pre. Get ready, guys.
Yeah.
Now that I've seen the episode a couple more times. I'm like, right. Oh yeah, that set us up for get ready for your next.
Moments. Exactly.
That actually really put struck a little fear in my heart.
It is the Halloween Spooktacular, Les. I wouldn't expect
it. Got me. I'm not gonna lie.
So when Vision crosses over, right? This scene, we think. I know when we're watching it, we thought that it was going to kill him outside, and it was, but it was also killing him going back inside, trying to pull him apart. Correct? It was crazy.
No, it was basically the barrier was probably... So, if I'm going to go with what the comics do, a lot of times barriers are... I guess some type of barrier. Usually, like an Executioner song on the final confrontation, only people with Summer's family DNA could fit through it, and it would kill or mess with anybody else.
Okay.
I'm guessing maybe Wanda or whoever was like, Vision and anyone else that she brings in cannot go out of this thing.
Yeah, we will not let you out.
Which is why he would. I mean, as far as he was outside of it, he should have been able to come clean, right?
And I was hoping that meant he's fully resurrected. And I think she's made this whole thing because she knows that's going to happen to Vision.
I was thinking it was like holding reality out. He was stepping out of it. He was going back to the world where he died, so that's why. Reality was catching up to him.
But I'm guessing whatever they put on that, like if there's a hex or spell or whatever, or coding of some type, was like, you cannot let this being get out.
Yeah.
And one thing, he wasn't expelled. Right?
Right.
Monica Rambeau was expelled.
You're right.
He tried to walk out. So it's like, I would say if you try to walk out, you're probably going to get stopped. And it's going to be much more difficult. And then for someone like him, he's a very certain he's a vibranium based being, so the field is pulling him back and it's starting to pull him apart. So instead of them helping, they just watched him suffer.
A mere mortal probably can't just walk out. You have to be thrown out, like you said, by her force. And she set this thing up, in my head, she set this thing up specifically for him to not die again.
Right. So I don't think it was killing him to get out. It was just
killing him to be out.
It was killing him, to be out. Because it's like, out. No. You're supposed to be back here. Right. You're supposed to be in here. Don't go anywhere else. Where are you going? And then start pulling him in and peeling him apart.
And this end scene here, where she just loses it and decides to take over all of New Jersey State. It seems like it's going to be pretty big and vast, and we get Darcy sucked in, which I'm very excited about. I feel bad for Darcy, but I'm very excited.
I was kind of scared
to see her.
Yeah.
I was kind of scared because they didn't show her pulling in what, she didn't have on a Dairy Queen outfit or anything like that, or her Two Broke Girls CBS homage or something. No, she just said, oh, it didn't really show the aftermath. Yeah, and you're just like, is Darcy disintegrated? Please don't kill Darcy.
Right.
We need a show with Darcy, Monica, and Jimmy Woo. We just need
that was cool that they
a spin-off scene.
That fight scene was great, right? Unexpected. Yes. Unexpected. Very cool.
Okay, here's a crazy idea I had. I don't think this is going to happen. But so they said Monica went through twice.
Yeah.
And her DNA was changed, which we think is setting up Spectrum or Photon or whatever code name they're going to give her.
Mm.
What if the barrier affects people to the point where it mutates their cells and gives them powers, and all of the people who are either in Westview or the Sword people, what if that's how they introduce mutants into Marvel?
I was going to say that's how they can introduce mutants into Marvel. That's also how they can clean up the Inhumans mess by using, this would be the Terrigen Mists kind of thing that helped develop them.
So what you're saying is all the characters that we know and love in X-Men were already there.
Well, that's the thing, is that this is like too centralized geographically, where it would only be people, unless you say they're people from all over the world. And the other thing is, in the comics, there's the X gene, and that is mutated over, thousands of centuries of human existence.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And just have it be one event, and an artificial event like that. I don't know. It just...
She did spread she spread the joy out pretty vastly.
She did, yeah.
Pretty vast in New Jersey, so...
So, I mean, if they do like a reverse M Day where they say that triggered the X gene around the world...
Interesting.
That'd be a way to do it, too.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't expect the mutants to be around for at least another year.
Yeah.
But sadly, I do expect this show has something to do with it.
Yeah. And Kevin Feige said that this is going to open up for a lot of things.
And I understand a lot of people know, but if this is Mephisto, it's clear there's someone else pulling strings or amplifying or encouraging or allowing this to go on, and more than likely it's him, and that's fine. We're still curious to see who the aerospace engineer is.
Yes.
We were so close to seeing who that was. Like Feige said, this is opening up so many different things and directions, and it just booted the door open. We might get Kamala Khan out of this, even though we are getting a show for her.
You never know. This might be a new show.
Now we can either go, okay, right back. In comics, that's what happens all the time. You get there's something going on, and they'll mention so remember Westview, and then there's a little asterisk in a footnote in the corner page, and it'll say read X-Men 125 or Avengers annual, and then you go back and read that. That'd be cool if the show had
that, something on the screen,
pop-up video type of
pop up. Yeah,
but they do kind of have that now, right? The blip is a major milestone in the world now, so they call it the blip. We were calling it the snap for a while, and now it's okay. So,
all right. Well, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, I know it doesn't have the oh my god, it's Evan Peters, or oh my god, it's Quicksilver, but I thought the whole episode was solid. Very cool. Loved it. This show has not disappointed me since day one, and I cannot wait for the next 3. Right? There's 3 left, I believe. Or is it 2?
I don't know.
It should be 3 if it's 8 episodes.
I think. We're on 6, so if it's 8, we only have 2 left.
There we go.
Are they going to do any more shows? Because they're unless they do The Office or something. I can't think of any other sitcoms.
Yeah, I don't know. That's true. They're running out of eras too, by the way. I think.
Well, I thought they would go into that whole CW kind of thing, where that CW era
Gilmore
of dramas,
Girls and all that.
Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
But they was so much more dramatic. It wasn't like sitcom based. It was like a lot of real elements, you know.
Right. Well,
So,
from the preview that I saw, that we've probably all seen, that she's speaking into the camera like the feel of the shows from like 5-10 years ago to today. So I think we're going to get something like that where she talks to the audience. But well, can't wait for that. Well, and we really appreciate you guys hanging in there with us and watching our breakdown and our WandaVision Explained. Cannot wait for the next episode. We'll be here trying to break it down. I'm sure it's going to be nuts. Please subscribe and press that little ding button, and we'll let you know when all of our breakdowns, reaction videos from WandaVision and everything else in pop culture come out. Also, we have a podcast, The Sith List, and you can enjoy that wherever podcasts are listened to. For King Tom, for Les, thanks again, and we'll catch you next week on episode 7 of WandaVision on The Sith List.